Well, looks like we're gonna make the closing in a high energy level. Who wants to start? I don't want to take so much time, so I'm giving my turn.
Be really quick about this. I love the stop motion kind of aesthetic to it. This is holy cow. I was not expecting that, but there's something so interesting and playful with it that I thought really. I mean, Neshes, you're right. Like it ends this on a very positive note. But I think what drew me the most to this is that middle part portion of there where they're of the film where they're drawing the city from memory. It's like everyone has their own depiction of the city. It's kind of like how they say we all see different shades of color. Like the green that I see will be a different shade of green that any of one of you might see, and that's the same goes. That perspective goes for the urban condition, and it's a very kind of like Kevin Lynch, urbanist kind of approach, having people interviewing residents of a city and asking them like, what are the iconic pieces of the city that you remember. So then that already tells from a sociological perspective what what is significant to the residents, and to see that also then being drawn freehand in a sketchbook shows what are the, I guess, priorities or the interests of the filmmaker, what they understand the city as. So I thought that was very well done.
I thought it was. I also really like stop motion animation. I just think it looks really cool on. I mean, playing with the visual art of cinema. That's the best part. I also really like the intersection of like the architecture and being creative and doing the freehand sketch. I did feel like it was a bit disjointed. Like maybe we actually watched like two or three short films, kind of all parsed together, a little Frankensteiny to me, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I didn't really. Uh, it was just like a fun type of thing to watch. It almost felt like it would live really well on social media. Like I would see this as like a TikTok or a Snapchat or all the little things, little whatever. Um, I like the personal touch of what Chicago looks like Andrew mentioned, what Chicago looks like to that person. Um, and the ending, for some reason, really was like it was tight. I love the ending. I thought it was really ill. Just like the end, and that person walked away, who I'm assuming is the filmmaker. The very beginning, and this is just very obviously a very personal thing. I don't know why. I just do not like disappearing things. It's a total personal thing, and it's also maybe like a little like for me, definitely not black boys disappearing. I don't need them to disappear. So for me, that was a little jarring. Didn't really care for it. The audio there, it sounded like it was a snippet from like and I'm not familiar with the audio at all, but
It was a clip from 42nd Street, the classic musical, 42nd Street.
okay, yeah, okay. I'm not familiar with that musical. I don't know how those came together. The audio and the visual, they felt a little disjointed in the beginning as well.
Um, yeah, I can echo a lot of what y'all said. This was definitely fun. I love stop motion. I've been like kind of itching myself to do stop motion. It just always seems like a very daunting thing to do, but I'm 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 admirable of that. I think the rhythm needed work at the beginning. I like the opening shot, and then the disappearing stuff was like, okay, that's a little offbeat for me. Um, I think the most successful part, if we're going to talk about what felt complete and what felt true to theme, was seeing the notebooks and seeing these drawings. And it kind of took a minute for it to click for me, but I'm like, oh, okay, these are architecture students making films. And I thought that that was like the most interesting thing, because I never would have thought to um, think about the city as far just from memory and drawing that. So I think that that was the most successful piece. Again, I think that there were a lot of great elements, but for me, it was a lot of setup, like, okay, where's this ball going? And then it kind of goes, it just disappears. And then where it's just like, I'm off of that now, we're dancing. So I think as a complete story, it's not quite there, but the individual elements I think are really impressive. And again, like my favorite part of it is seeing these notebooks and seeing people's perspectives. And I think that that's what we always like to see in an art piece is individual perspective or community perspective. And I think that this does that very, very well. So brava.
I'll say that it's a grab bag of really creative and exuberant things. A lot of the exuberance obviously comes from the music, but there's a certain joy in the animation and in the experiments that are performed in the various episodes. With the announcement of from the clip for 42nd Street, this is going to be a performance, you're going to practice, you're going to get, worn out, and then we're going to put on the show. The idea of the performance is raised. So if that could be used as a guiding, let's say, principle throughout, it would be all about performance of memory, performance of drawing, performance of dance. That could be a way to integrate everything properly. And then these pieces might not seem so disparate, which they do, but there's a way in which somehow we're not sure which film we're watching, as has been said already. There's a number of films here, and that's because these episodes don't really have a through line that makes them cohere, but I think it could happen because of the notion of performance as a link. That would be my main comment.